Hey everyone, welcome back to the Brickhaven Project. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new road system, as well as placing the first two buildings into the new layout. Then we're going to talk about my future plans and everything that I have in store for New Bricksburg. So, let's take a look. So I have made a lot of progress since my last video introducing New Bricksburg. And to start this off, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new road system. So this is a 4-lane road system. We've got 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. And I was really excited to implement this sort of highway design because, again, it's completely different from anything we have in the other city of Brickhaven. And to start this off, I had to elevate the roadway. So you can see on the edge here, I am still trying to use the Mills plate technique. However, instead of just being 1 brick off the ground, we are officially 6 bricks off the ground until the road itself, and technically 7 bricks until you hit the sidewalk. And so I did try to build this nice finished off wall so that way you didn't see all of the filler brick that I had to use, at least when you first come into the Lego room here. And so this does start the brand new highway. And I did go with a 4-stud median in the middle. Now this is definitely not finished. I'm just starting to prototype some of the landscaping techniques I want to use, including some of those brand new pieces that we have here. And then I also started prototyping the first palm tree designs, and so these are a really cool technique, and I think having a bunch of palm trees over here is going to look amazing, especially because, again, it's so different from the other layout. And then I also decided to go with the yellow stripe in the inside edge of the roads, and I think this also creates a very different look and is actually pretty realistic to what you would see in my area. And then I also want to talk about the traffic light system that I have installed. So these are completely custom traffic lights that I came up with. It's a pretty simple design using a lot of pieces I had left over from the roadway sets from Lego City. And it's a pretty simple design, but it should work pretty well for this new layout. And then I also want to talk about a bit of the beach expansion here. So you can see we actually have the retaining wall built. Now I decided to go with white because I had a lot of white masonry in my inventory, as well as these white 1x6x5 panels. And so I thought doing a design like this would not only add a lot of visual interest, but also use a lot of pieces that I had from my own inventory, which is one of the best things you can do because it'll not only save you a lot of money, but oftentimes you can come up with a lot of really unique and creative uses for the pieces that you already have. So I did expand the beach by about 6 studs, and then I did the retaining wall. I also built the first entryway to the beach, which you can see comes out about 4 studs here, and that has a staircase on both sides. And then I did decide to bring the retaining wall out and sort of act as a bit of a handrail too for these staircases that I have on each side. And then I did do a bit of an American flag here when you walk out onto the staircase. And so I'm really happy with how the retaining wall is coming together. It adds a very nice backdrop to the beach and does a really good job at hiding all the colorful filler brick I had to use to get the roadway system up to that higher elevation, which has been a lot of fun. It's been very tedious, but I've never really worked with elevation in the old city. Again, I'm really trying to use a lot of brand new techniques, whether that be water or beach techniques, but also different techniques in the roadway and also elevation, which has been a huge key to making this layout work. And I am really excited to see how far I can take it. And then as we move back, you can see we do have a standard 2-lane road that goes straight into the wall. And we have our first 2 plots of land for the very first buildings. So I have a small plot of land here. This is going to be a small convenience store. And then across the street is going to be a hotel building which is actually going to be Skyloft. So I think it's now time to grab the very first two buildings and get them inserted into the brand new layout. Now, before we take a closer look at the first two buildings, I do want to give a huge shout out to AFall TV. Now, he is an incredible builder and YouTuber here in the Lego space. And I just want to give a huge shout out to him because he actually sells a bunch of instructions on his website for custom skyscrapers. Now, I really had no idea how to design skyscrapers going into this or what skyscrapers I wanted to use, but his designs seemed super awesome. And I really want to give him a huge shout out here because both of these buildings, and I'm sure a lot of my future buildings, are actually custom designs by him. So these are not my own buildings. The rest of the layout is, but the buildings I have been using instructions by AFall TV, with making my own slight modifications here and there, so that way it fits my layout. But the first building here is Skyloft. Now, this is a custom building by AFall TV, and it is a really cool Starbucks building with apartments on the second, third, and fourth floor. So I don't have any decals or interiors yet for any of these buildings, but I do plan on keeping the first floor a Starbucks, which I think is really fun. And then I will eventually do some small interiors on the second, third, and fourth floors for apartments. But you can see we've got balconies for all the apartments, which I think is really cool. You can see I've got a minifigure up there sipping some coffee, taking a look at the very nice view. And then there are some HVAC units on the roof here, as well as just lots of detail, whether it be in even the side balconies or just some of the awnings over Starbucks. I really love this building, and I am thrilled to have it here in my brand new city. And then the second building is a smaller one, but this is going to be the 7-Eleven convenience store, and I also just fell in love with this building. It's such a creative design, actually, and I really like how it came together here. So you can see if we pan around to the front, just two front doors. I did a small couple of little details along the side windows, or I guess those would be the front windows there. And again, this is another design by AFall TV, but I did make some small tweaks, especially here in the back. I wanted to use a lot of masonry brick and add some of my own details because this is going to be heavily seen in my Lego studio. And so I wanted to make sure it was incredibly detailed from all sides. And on the left side, we do have a small parking spot. I imagine that this is actually the start of a bigger parking lot, but we kind of have the guillotine cutting off our layout here, so we can't see more of that. But I do plan on maybe putting a delivery truck unloading some stuff for the convenience store in the future. But I am really happy with how these two buildings came out and how they look in the skyline of the layout. Starting with the water in the front, transitioning into the beach, then jumping up to that brand new elevation to bring us to the roadway system, and then the skyscrapers, or smaller buildings right now, but I do have some very cool plans to add a lot bigger skyscrapers in the very near future. I also forgot to mention my bus stop that I created in front of the Skyloft building here. Now, it's not finished yet. You can still see some of the tan underlying plate, so I still need to finish some of the tiling there. But just a small little bus stop that I hope to I plan on adding a lot more detail to in the near future. And then the very last thing, as you can see, I started to make work on a custom highway sign. So I did actually custom make this. You can see that it says Brickhaven is there's an exit to Brickhaven half a mile down. It's exit 74. And so I thought that was a really cool little tidbit to include, and I definitely hope to add more little nods to my other layout in this new city, just to kind of connect the two, even if they are completely different. Now let's get into some of my future plans for this layout. So I have a much better idea of how I want to carry out this layout than when I made that first video with just the very beginning of the beach in the water. So I didn't really give an overview of my plans because I really didn't have many. But now that I have this much of the layout done, I can definitely see a clearer vision for how I want to carry out the rest of this table. So this 4-lane road that I have constructed here, I actually plan on running this all the way down to the very edge of the table down there. And then we're actually going to continue the beach and water all the way down to the edge as well, maybe even including the lighthouse on the very end of the table. I thought that would be really cool because I do have the Lego Ideas Lighthouse in my collection. And I thought that would be an amazing build to add to this layout. And then as for the backside, I definitely want to keep adding skyscrapers and hopefully some taller skyscrapers. You can see the backdrop goes up pretty high, so it would be amazing to get a lot more height over here by adding a lot of taller skyscrapers. So I'm going to kind of continue on with the buildings at the backside. Hopefully the buildings will again just keep getting bigger and bigger, and they will have that area in the front, which will be the water, the beach, and then you'll work your way up to the road, and then the buildings are the backdrop. So I think this is a really cool idea, and I kind of just want to keep running with this all the way down. I'm sure there'll be some slight variations as we get to the end. I plan on maybe including a road bridge that goes over the water if the water were to curve towards the backdrop. I thought that would be a fun little variation, so that way it's not just like the same thing going all the way down. But nonetheless, those are kind of my plans as of right now. I've got a couple other skyscrapers in the works, again by AFall TV. A huge shout out to him. He's an amazing builder, and I absolutely love his skyscrapers. They fit so perfectly with this layout, and I am definitely very motivated to keep working on this. So that's pretty much all the progress I have to share with you right now. And so I think it's time to hit the outro. Well, I hope you enjoyed this update on New Bricksburg. This has definitely been a major update, including a lot of progress. I have been hard at work trying to get these new buildings and roadways installed, but I have definitely been very motivated lately, and I'm hoping that motivation continues so we can keep making lots of progress on this new layout. And so if you did enjoy the video, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below more of your thoughts. What do you think about the progress that I've made this week? Anything that you would change personally? And how do you feel about my ideas moving forward? Is there anything you guys think I desperately should add to this layout? Or maybe things that I brought up that you don't think would be a really good fit? So let me know any of your thoughts down below, and I am definitely excited to see what you guys have to say. But with that, thanks again for watching today's video, and we will see you next time on the Brickhaven Project.